G'day viewers, welcome to another video. Before we get started, I'd like to ask, could you please hit the like button? It helps me with the YouTube algorithm and will help them decide who to share it to. It just progresses my channel, helps me out. And also, if you haven't subscribed, could you please do that, because 75% of my viewers aren't subscribed. It would mean a lot to me. It'd help me grow my channel. Thank you. G'day viewers, in today's video I'm going to be processing my temporary gold stock pot. Don't confuse this with the normal stock pot. I shall explain. I've got a barrel, a large barrel, and all my copper nitrates and solutions from doing different projects get poured into the stock pot, and the stock pot has copper in it, and the copper goes into solution and pushes precious metals out like silver, platinum, palladium, gold. This isn't like that. I don't need to have copper in here. All that is in here is the wash waters, and when I'm doing the wash procedure for gold, nitric acid boil, hydrochloric acid boil, things like that, rinses. So it's got gold in suspension that's floating around in the solution, colloidal gold and things like that. And I've got a small vessel here, my larger vessel here. I have trouble cleaning this. I've tried to clean it. It's dirty now because it's been outside, but I've really tried to get this spotless and I can't. It's got a very narrow neck on it. Find it hard to get things in, and it's so tall I cannot get anything down inside to clean it, so I just use it for my gold wash vessel. This one's not so bad. I've chosen a wide mouth. I can get my hand right in there, so I do clean this from time to time. But this was full the other day and I needed an extra room, so I started using this one. Now there is, as you can see, a clear solution with gold at the bottom, and this bigger one would be the same, but it's hard to tell because it's so dirty. It doesn't matter about being dirty, all it has to do is catch the gold. Now I've got bottles here of solutions that have been pouring out of these vessels. So this was full and I needed to make room, so I poured the solutions into these bottles. I will take those around to my actual stock pot, which has copper in it, and if there's anything still in solution that hasn't fallen out, it will fall out on the copper. As the copper goes into solution, it'll push the metals out. But for now, all I'm going to do is empty these two into this bucket and recover the gold that's at the bottom. So I'm going to try not to stir the container up too much because I want the gold to stay at the bottom. So it's trying to sneak up to the front now. It's trying to get out, so what I may have to do is pour it into this bigger beaker and then let it settle from in there, and then it'll be a lot easier to pour out from in there. See all the gold coming out now? So I haven't got this GoPro on my head right now, so I need my hands to be able to squirt this clean. So I'll do that and come back. One sec. Okay, so now I've got the GoPro on my head and I can squirt out my flask. I don't know how much gold is going to be in there, but gold is at a stupidly high amount at the moment. I've never known gold to be as high as it is. Overnight it jumped like $110 an ounce or something. It's crazy. So while it's high, I'm going to cash in. Can you see the little bits of gold that have already started to fall out at the bottom there? There's not enough there to recover right now, but it just goes to show you I only poured that in there 10 minutes ago. And as you can see, it's already starting to fall out. And this one here. The gold in here is looking better, it's not so fine. It's clumping together quite nicely. A little bit's going over, that's alright. Can you see the gold there? It's not a lot, but it all adds up. I rinse the flask out as best I can. Now they're ready to be reused, and this will all be taken around to my stock pot. And I'm wondering if any gold has fallen out. There's a little bit of something in them. Have a look at this one, see it's darker. No. So they may need copper to pull out anything else that's in there. And then for those who don't know how a stock pot works, as I explained, you put copper in it, it forces precious metals out, and then you're basically left with nothing but pure copper nitrate. And then what I do is I take that copper nitrate, empty that barrel into a different one which has steel in it, iron, angle iron, things like that, and the steel goes into solution and forces the copper out. So I can get my copper back, and then I'm just left with an iron solution, which I then treat with lye or lime to render it as a barren solution where it can be disposed of. But that I'll do another video later showing how I do all that. I'm just trying to explain to people now the difference between this temporary stock pot and my main stock pot. So for now, all I can do is wait till this settles down. When the gold settles down, I can then pour this liquid off back into this bucket, and once I've got just the gold at the bottom, I'll do the wash procedure like I do with any gold refine. 3 boils hot water washes, then a hydrochloric acid boil, then 3 hot water washes to get rid of the hydrochloric acid. In some cases I even do 4 or 5, because then I want to do a nitric acid boil, and I have to make sure there's absolutely no hydrochloric acid left in there or the gold will get redissolved. Once I've done a nitric acid boil, it's pretty much pure as, and I just do a couple of rinses with hot water to remove the nitric acid. Then it can be melted, but I will refine it a second time, probably even a third, I don't know yet, we'll see. If I get the gold to be nice and clumped and grouped really nicely together, then I know I can melt it. But if it keeps staying as a fine powder, then it has to just keep getting refined and refined and refined until such time as it's a clean powder. So we'll just wait and see how it goes. Once I do all the first section, I can see a layer of gold across here already. So I'll come back when that's all settled and we'll go from there. It's the next day. I gave this a good chance to settle, and it has settled nicely. So I'm assuming you can see that's nice and clear with a decent layer of gold at the bottom. So I'm going to pour this off gently if I can, hopefully not disturbing all the gold. So far so good. A little bit of it's trying to escape, that's alright. No, that'll do. There's still a little bit of liquid in there, but that's alright. Some of it was going over and I didn't want to lose too much. Not losing it, it'll go in the stock pot, but I'm trying to keep what I can now. So I'll give it a good rinse. The first one will be a bigger one because I'm trying to get rid of all that liquid that's in there. Give it a good swirl, make sure the hot water gets to everything. Try and really get that powder whished around and a thorough rinsing. Alright, so we'll just let it sit now. I don't know how long it's going to take to settle, because predominantly for it to be in the stock pot, it means it's dirty gold. So dirty gold doesn't generally fall very quickly. It doesn't even look like it's trying to fall, so I'll have to come back when it's done and carry on from there. Alright, so it had 3 water boils, and then I put it on for a hydrochloric acid boil, and now it's time to do some more water boils. And usually just before I melt it, I also do a nitric boil, but because this gold is so dirty, I'm going to do one now before I refine it. And I sold some gold today and it tested 100% pure, 24 karat gold, so it's good to know I haven't lost my touch. So I like to use my acids over and over and over until there's no strength left in them, because they cost too much to waste. So this hydrochloric acid I'm going to pour off into this beaker with other hydrochloric acid in it, and I have a job that I need it for soon, to dissolve some solder on some boards. Any little bit of gold that goes over isn't going to matter, because right before I get to the very end of the gold, the hydrochloric acid in there, I'll tip the last of it into my wash vessel. I'll just pour the bulk of it off to use, and then the last of it I'll tip in there. So I'm going to give it some hot water boils, well, not boils but rinses. Give it a good rinse, and I'll make sure they get every single bit of hydrochloric acid out of there, because when I do a nitric boil, I don't want it to form aqua regia and dissolve my gold. We'll see how quickly this settles. Stop it from spinning. If it settles fast enough, I'll wait, otherwise I might have to come back. As it gets cleaner, it settles a lot faster. The gold that I sold today, before I melted it and I gave it some rinses, it didn't even want to go into the water column. It just sat on the bottom, and every time I stirred it around, it moved around on the bottom, but it just sat there. It was so heavy and so clean. Well, this being very dirty, it's going to have a lot of colloidal gold in there, and most likely going to take a while to settle. I'll put it on an angle so I can see. There's a lot of it stirred up just from doing that. Same goes for this bucket down here that I'm pouring the solutions into. Any little bits of gold that go across won't matter, because I'm going to let it settle and pour the bulk of it into my main stock pot. When I get down to the bottom where there will be a little bit of sediment, I'll put that back into my temporary gold stock pot. There's some very, very fine gold going over, and I'm just stopping when the bulk of it wants to go. The thing is, refining the gold on its own, when I say refining, I mean dissolving it into aqua regia, although that's a very big part of refining it, the wash process is the most critical. The more you do now in the wash process, the better. It's like anything, the better the preparation you do, the better the outcome. And the more effort you can put into doing this wash process, the far better it will be. You know, some people, they just can't be bothered doing so many rinses or whatever, but they're far better off to do as many rinses as you can. To get the nice clean gold. So letting it sit on an angle helps, because then once it moves down to the corner, you give it a chance to sit, and then you can pour off the water. So I'm just going to let it sit down here. There is some fine gold sitting on top. Bit of a squirt usually helps that. I shook it up by accident, so it's all stirred up again. So this is going to take a while, because I'm going to do 4 or 5 at least washes. So I'll come back when it's on the nitric boil. Okay, so it's been having a nitric boil now for about 2 hours. And it's looking good. There's a lot less powder in there now than what there was originally, which means that a lot of it's been dissolved. And just like with the hydrochloric acid, I will be using this nitric again. I'm going to pour off the nitric solution into this beaker, because evidently some gold will come across, and I'll let it settle. I've got a bucket down here with silver plated copper, so the bulk of the nitric solution will go in there, and if there's any gold at the bottom, it'll go back in my stock pot. Put it on an angle, let it settle. Looks like there's some gold floating on top, so we'll give it a spritz. There's going to be some colloidal gold there. Jesus, this is hot. I don't have any gloves. So we've got a nice pile in there. It's not as much as I thought, but that's because a lot of the colloidal gold's been pouring off every time we do rinses and so on. But that's okay. There still will be some nitric amongst this, so that's also going to go into this beaker, at least for this first rinse. But it wouldn't hurt to put extra water in there anyway. So these 3 washes will all go into there, apart from whatever settles out. I'll probably pour it in there tomorrow, so that this all has a chance to settle. But this is going to take a while by the looks of it. So I'll finish doing these 3 rinses, and then it's time to dissolve it in aqua regia. What I might even do is the gold that settles here, I won't be doing aqua regia till tomorrow, because it's getting late now. So I might pour off the nitric acid into the silver bucket, and then whatever gold's at the bottom I'll put back in here, and that can be dissolved along with the powder in there, because I've got a few washes to go, and it looks like there's going to be some colloidal gold going each time. another beaker here to use. I'll do one more rinse. The gold pile is getting smaller and smaller. You can see that's a lot less, but it's still gold. So I'll give this a good rinse, good swirl around, give it a good wash. I'll put it on an angle, let it get ready to drain. This is the third rinse, so I'll just get this done and we'll be back tomorrow to dissolve it. It's the next day and time to make some aqua regia. Like I said, I was going to use the gold that's in the bottom of these, and it's settled nicely overnight. All adds up, eh? Every little bit. Okay. Hydrochloric acid. There's no specific amount. I just put enough that it won't evaporate and dry while I have it on the heat. And now nitric acid. So this is really important, guys. I cannot tell you how much it annoys me. I see so many videos lately that are using pre-mixed aqua regia. Please don't do pre-mixed aqua regia. It is the best way to waste acid. You always see them at the end putting a heap of stuff in to denox it, killing off the nitric because they've had too much in there. I know there's viewers of mine that can't get it, or so expensive or whatever, and I just want to teach people to be conservative with it. So I'm only going to put, well, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 5 mil pipette. I'm going to put 1 mil. Oh, look at that on the dot. 1 mil of nitric, and then I can always add more. Better than that, than having too much. I most likely will need more, but I'd rather add more now than to have it all at the beginning and have too much. So I'm going to put that on the heat. Acids work better when they're hot. And nitric acid works best at 88 degrees centigrade. For those in America or whatever that don't know centigrade, 100 Fahrenheit is 40. 100 degrees Celsius is boiling point. So it's a little under boiling point. You want it just like a soft simmer, and it'll start working. And then we'll come back, I don't know, half an hour or so, and just have a look and see if there's any gold powder left. And if there is, I know, just put a little bit more nitric, and I'll just keep doing that until all that last bit of powder goes. And that's all you need to do. And then you don't even have to denox. If you get it that close, even if it's half a mil or 1 mil over, that's nothing. As soon as you put SMB or iron sulfate or whatever, it'll kill off that last little bit. Because 1 mil or half a mil is nothing. So when people are putting 10 or 20 mils or 30 mils or more even, that's a lot of nitric. So, alright, so I'll be back soon. We'll see how that goes. I was just looking in the bottom of this bucket. Not sure if you can see it on camera. There's a nice film of gold powder on the bottom. Probably looks like maybe a gram or half a gram. Now I'm not in any hurry, but what I could do, and if you could do if you wanted to, is just have it settle like it is now, pour this solution off and add that gold to this batch, since we're getting the gold from, you know, from one batch. I would normally do that, but my stock pot, bit hard for me to get to at the moment. We've moved stuff around in the garage and I can't quite get to it, which is why I've got all these bottles of liquid that are ready to go in the stock pot, and I don't have any other buckets that I can pour this off into to collect that last bit of gold. There's too much in here to go back into the flasks, so I'm just gonna have to let that part go back into the flask when it's finished. Once I've poured this off, I'll put all that back into the flask, but I can't do that till I get to the barrel so I can pour it in. As you can see, there's still some gold dust in there, so I'm going to put another 1 mil and see what that does. Time to check it again. Looks like there's still a fair bit of powder in there. Give it a bit of a, yeah, there's definitely powder in there. So again, some more nitric acid. I might go a little bit more this time. 1 mil. No, 2 mil. That was the second line on the pipette. So 2 mils. Let that sit. I'll just keep checking it until all the gold's dissolved. Okay, so I'm still adding nitric. I've been out 2 more times since I last recorded. There's still some powder in there. I'm happy to do it slowly so I don't over nitric. I've got a new beaker, a clean beaker, ready to filter the solution into, because it's important when you're refining to use nice clean beakers so you don't introduce any contaminants. And I had a brain fart with this solution. I know it looks dark there, but there's really nothing at the bottom, maybe the slightest little dust, because I used my empty flask and my big flask and an empty beaker that I've got over here somewhere, and I put all that liquid into the empty vessels, and then I collected the gold. And at the moment I'm going through its gold water washes. This will be the 3rd water wash. I'm trying to get the water out without losing the gold. Tiny bits are going over, but that's alright. And again, I'll collect whatever lands in the bottom. That'll do for now. So I'll give it a 3rd wash, and I'm going to add it to that, so as it should be, because it all came out of the flask together, and maximise my yield. So I'll let that settle, and once I finish the wash procedure, I'll add it to the aqua regia. I just wanted to show you I've got a nice clean beaker ready to go to filter it into, and that I wanted to show you that I've got all the gold back. You can see there's really not much there. Okay, so I'm doing it off camera because there's no point in showing you each time that I put a little bit of nitric in. What I'll do is I'll get to the point where this is added and I'm filtering it once it's all dissolved, and then we'll carry on, because it's pretty boring. You don't want to see all that. Now I've got some sediment in the bottom here that won't dissolve. It took me a little while, but I soon worked out what it was. In my previous videos, you would remember I said my SMB is dirty because it was a hard clump and I put it through my rock crusher, and you can't see it from here, but it's got a tinge of grey all through it. It's got some dust in there from when I was doing chips, and it doesn't affect the SMB, but the sediment obviously lands in the bottom of the beaker. And when I realised that was happening, I started filtering it. And a couple of videos back, when I put SMB in, I was filtering it first. So this is obviously sediment from the old ICs and BGAs. Now I've got this gold here. It's been washed. It's been through the whole wash process. So I'm going to pour that into here. So now all the gold that came out of the flasks is all back together again, and we can process it all like it should have been. There's only the tiniest little bit of gold in the bucket, smallest amount. That beaker's too dirty to keep using. Just make sure I get all the gold out. There's still some in there. That can go inside for a wash. So I've got this clean one here that I said to you I brought out, ready to refine it. So I'm just going to put this on a bit of heat for a while, and keep adding nitric as I need to dissolve this gold. There still could be some sediment in there as well from the tiles, from the ICs and BGAs. And once it's been dissolved, I'll then drop it in this clean beaker and then re-dissolve it in this nice clean beaker so I don't add any impurities. And that's how I'm going to get it really good. So I'll put this back on the heat. And I'll be back when it's dissolved and when we're ready to drop the gold. Well, I've dissolved as much as I can. There is some sediment in the bottom, which is expected. Now I'm going to filter it. No point in showing you that, it's pretty boring. And filter it into this nice clean beaker, and then we'll drop the gold. I'll be back when that's ready. I brought it inside to filter because it's just way too hot outside. I had 2 ice trays of distilled water in there, distilled ice, and they melted within seconds. I mean, the solution's cooled down really nicely, but it's just so hot out there, and yeah, the ice didn't last long. So the idea of cooling it down, if there's any silver in there, it should come crashing out of solution because it doesn't like being in a cold solution. So filtering it away, it's coming up quite nicely. And I'm just going to keep doing that inside where it's cooler. It's been through the filter twice. Look how clear it is. That's perfect. That's how you want it. You don't want it all cloudy because it means there's contaminants. Get it nice and clear. This glass is a bit frosted from just having the ice in there. But yeah, this is perfect. So now I'm going to go outside and drop the gold. Alright, so first thing is do a stannous test, because there might not be just gold in amongst that, it could be anything. So we'll see. Well, there's the positive for gold. Now to see if there's any other colour. I don't see any yellow for platinum. I don't see any green for palladium. Looks like it's just gold. Alright, now I've got some iron sulfate made up here, so I'm going to use that this time. That should be plenty. It's starting to go dark, which is good. And I'll check it later with stannous again to make sure I've got all the gold out of solution. I'll give it a chance to do its colour change. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot there. It wasn't a really strong positive, and it wasn't a very fast colour change, so those two things usually mean less gold. So I'd rather wait until this is completely dropped and then it's all clear up top, and I'll do a test then. So for now, just gotta wait. It's the next day, and as you can see, the gold has settled nicely. It's all at the bottom there. There was a tiny bit on top, and I just give it a spritz, and it's dropped down alright. So now I'll pour this off. I've been getting lots of good messages from you guys. I love having messages, and I answer every single one. There's nothing more annoying than when I message someone on there, comment on someone's video and they don't reply. So keep up the comments. I reply to everyone. It's been really good getting comments from you guys. Okay, so that's what we got in there. I wouldn't say it's a whole lot, but it's something. So it's settling fast. Look at that, straight away. Go through the whole wash process again. Now I know there's a lot of people that really can't be bothered doing this over and over and over, but I can assure you it's definitely necessary. I can't emphasize enough that this part of the process is just as important as dissolving the gold. You can't get purity from just dissolving. You need to be able to wash the powder thoroughly, and otherwise you're wasting your time. And there's no better feeling than when you go and get gold tested and it comes back 100% pure, and you feel really good because you know you did it right. There's heartbreaking when you count on the money and you go to sell it and you think you're going to get a certain amount, and then you find you don't, because it's not pure. So for a little bit of effort now washing it, makes it so much better. It's settling really fast. That's good. It's starting to get pure. You know when it settles fast that you got good purity. Now it's pretty dark, and when I've had pure gold, it's always been from powder that's like a nice light chocolate brown colour. So I can tell just by looking at it at this stage that it's not pure enough for my liking. Now they say iron sulfate drops the gold and only the gold. Well, I don't believe that, because if that was the case, then that would be 99.99% pure right now, and it's not. I can tell you it's not. It's too dark. So it might not drop as many things, like SMB drops copper with it and everything, like silver or whatever. Maybe it doesn't drop as many things, but there has to be something going across, because if it was as simple as only dropping the gold, then you'd have pure gold right now and I could melt it. So I'm still going to treat it as if it's impure. I'm still going to thoroughly wash it. I'm still going to give it a hydrochloric acid boil, and I'm still going to give it a nitric boil. After that, we'll see what colour it is. If it goes the nice light chocolate brown colour after having all that, then I'll be convinced that it's alright. If it's not, if it's still black like it is now, then I'll dissolve it again. And every time you do it, and every time you go through the wash process, you're removing more and more impurities. So I can tell you that the way it's settling nice and fast, we're on a good run. We're heading in the right direction. It's clumping up. It's not very fine soot like before. It's actually granulated now, so we're definitely getting somewhere. But I wouldn't say it's 4/9 fine. So that's enough water washes for now. I'm going to put some distilled water in. And some hydrochloric acid. So even though I showed you before, I'll go through the whole process on video. And if I need to refine it a second time, third time, I won't catch it all on video. But for the sake of the whole wash process, I'll do it this time on camera, and we'll go from there. So now I'm going to put it on the heat and give it a boil for at least an hour, maybe even 2. I've got people coming over, so when they leave, however long it takes, doesn't matter how long it boils for, then I'll take it off and carry on from there. So put the heat up on it and just let that sit. Probably be a couple of hours, I'd say, before I get back to it. All right, have a look at that. It's come up nice. And you see how it's changed color? It's gone a lot lighter, so we're really heading in the right direction. Let's pour this hydrochloric acid off, because that can be reused. Still got strength in it, so there's no point wasting it. And look at that, it's not black like it was before. So I'll give it some hot water washes, and seeing what color it is now, I'm fairly convinced that by the time it's had a nitric boil, it'll be more than ready for melting. Just give it a good swish, make sure it gets a good wash. It's not going to be a whole lot of gold, but it's something. See, it's clumping and it's settling straight away. Beautiful. Now I've got to make sure I get rid of every skerrick of hydrochloric acid, because when I put nitric in, I don't want it to make aqua regia and redissolve the gold. Give it a really good wash. So that's 3. I'll do 5. 5 is usually enough. I haven't had any dramas after doing 5. One more. Okay, put some distilled water in there. It's important that you use distilled water when you're refining. Doesn't need to be any certain amount. Some nitric acid. I'm just going to put 1 pipette, that's plenty. It was not even a full pipette, half a pipette. That'll be plenty. Put the heat back on the thing. And let it boil for about an hour. And then wash the nitric out and we're good to melt it. Okay, so the nitric bath is done. And I'll pour off this nitric acid so I can use it again. Still plenty of strength in that. And put that down in my bucket here with silver, so it can help dissolve the silver. And it looks nice. I'm happy with the colour. I'll pour this off so you can see it. I'm happy with that colour. Beautiful, look at that. Nice caramel colour. One more. That is really nice looking gold. It's the right colour. It's granulated, holds together nicely, drops straight away. Everything about it looks perfect, so I would say that's ready to melt. I'll go get a melt dish. Alrighty. Now I don't like melting gold that's caught in a filter paper. Every time I burn a filter paper, little bits of paper fly away and I wonder if there's gold stuck to it. It probably isn't, but I just hate that feeling. And it's really not that hard to melt it when it's powder. If you melt it when it's wet, it's really good because it's heavy. It's not going to blow out, and it forms a crust nice and quickly with the flame, so it doesn't get all brittle and blow out. Suck out the excess moisture. And that, my friends, is ready to melt. Beautiful. We'll go melt it now. See what we got. So first I just use a soft flame at the end here. So it forms a crust on top. And it's only a low flame, it's not very hot. Slowly moving closer. Now I can start making the flame hotter, a bit more oxygen, a bit more gas. working my way around from the outside towards the middle. It's almost into one little ball now. It's melted, but it's just catching up with all the little balls everywhere. So what I like to do is move it around and try and get it to join up with all the rest of them. There's always little balls of gold stuck to the melt dish. A little bit of borax on top. And it looks nice. Mirror finish. I don't know why you guys can see this. I'll go in the sunlight. Well, there's not much sunlight left, but see if I can find some light. There we go. Look at that mirror finish. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a beaker here with some dilute sulfuric acid. I'm going to drop it in there and give it a boil for a little bit, only 10 minutes or so, and that will get rid of any borax that might be on there and give it a nice shine, and then we can go and weigh it. Okay, so try and give you one last look at it. Look how shiny that is. That is just crazy. Alright, so turn this on. .2, the aircon's on, so it's hovering between 19 and 21. So say 2.2 grams, which in Australian dollars, $95 a gram, so we're looking at about 220 maybe, something like that. It's better than poking your eye with a sharp stick. So there you go, guys. Hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe. It's the easiest way you can support my channel. It costs you nothing. But if you feel like I deserve a coffee, for less than the cost of a cup of coffee, you can become a member, and then you go into the extra drawers that I have and all kinds of things. But thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.